Back in 2017, when Giancarlo Stanton was in his prime, he had an average sprint speed of 27.8 feet per second, a number in the 71st percentile league-wide. For little context, that's faster than Francisco Lindor or Jose Altuve this year. He was quite simply one of the most athletic players in the sport, especially relative to his size, being the second largest outfielder in the game at the time at 6'6", 245 pounds. But flash forward to 2025, and that sprint speed number has sunk all the way down to 23.8, a mark tied for fourth worst in the entire sport, which has largely been the result of 10 major injuries to his legs. Seriously, I went and checked. So, what exactly does this kind of carnage to a player's lower body look like in terms of resulting plays? Before we get into that, I want to say I'm only going to be looking at moments from the last 3 years, as this was when his sprint speed officially sank into the sub 5 percentile club. Let's start first with the times he was thrown out on plays you just don't see very commonly, starting with this one from Maikel Garcia at third base, when he dove to stab a high chopper, collected himself, and still had time to get the lumbering righty at first. Look at how progressive his movements were there. There's just no way he should have been able to get him. But if you think I may be reaching a little bit here, check out this play from Nico Horner at shortstop, who sidestepped this broken bat headed his way, still had to come in to field the ball, look to second, and then throw to first on the run, with more than enough time to do all of that while still nabbing Stanton. Truly nuts. But even then, at least he was normally positioned, right? You can't say the same thing about Andy Ibanez on this ground ball that went off the mid of Will Vest, as this time the second baseman had to come all the way from up the middle to field this ball and flip with his mitt to still get the out at first. And on the replay, we can also see he hesitated off the bat as well. But if you thought these looked bad, his legs arguably look even worse on double play opportunities, as we just saw here recently versus the Rangers, when Corey Seager had to dive to stab this ball deep in the hole, only just barely getting the runner at second, before still seeing Stanton get thrown out at first. I legitimately think he was thrown out by more than the runner at second was. His running speed on DPs is actually so depressing it prompted this call from Bob Costas during last year's postseason.
He's easy to double up. Hit to short. Witt gets the force. Can they turn two? Yes, they can, and it's just the point we were making. It's not Giancarlo's fault. A near base hit, couldn't beat it out at the other end.
Dude just sounded deflated. But arguably neither one of these were as impressively slow as this one versus the Blue Jays, when Bo Bichette fielded a soft ground ball extremely deep in the hole at short, and then threw off balance to second. And yeah, you know how this ends. Even getting the lead runner there was extremely impressive. There's just no world where you would think he'd get both. But I guess that's what happens when a guy's hamstrings probably look like shredded cheese internally at this point. And lastly, I want to check out 2 times he was thrown out on the bases. One on this line drive off the bat of Austin Wells, which forced him to have to freeze, and then not have the wheels to even advance 90 feet within a reasonable time frame, as right fielder Anthony Santander was coming in from extremely deep right, yet still was able to get him at the bag. Getting forced out at second on a single, it doesn't get much more embarrassing than that. But what might have been worse was this attempt at scoring from second on a 2-out single against the Astros back in 2023. Why he was even sent there, I have no idea. But he not only got thrown out by 25 feet, he did so while not even being able to jog around the bases at 50%, essentially having to trot into the waiting tag of Martin Maldonado. Now, before you go, I do want to say, none of this comes from a place of malice with Giancarlo. I think it's insane he's still being able to produce like he has at the plate this year, given the trauma to his lower body specifically over the course of his career. And hey, don't look now, but the guy has a decent chance of getting a 500 career home runs, which would almost certainly guarantee a Hall of Fame induction for one of the best players of his generation, even if the final few years of his career are going to have to come with him essentially running on stilts. Now, thank you so much for watching, and please remember that if you ever see anything you'd like to see detailed in a Made the Cut video, whether that be a specific play, player, or narrative surrounding a team or something, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com. And if I do end up using your idea, I'll of course give you a shout out. Thank you so much once again, and I'll see you in the next one.